Hello, I'm Dr. Jeff Gold, and I have the honor of serving as the president here at the University of Nebraska. Welcome to another episode of Shaping the Future, where we have an opportunity to talk with faculty, staff, students, alumni, and prominent community members who are truly making a difference. Our guest today is Mr. Jason Ball. Jason is the president and the chief executive officer of the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. He's a graduate of the University of Nebraska Lincoln campus and has a Master's of Business Administration in Strategic Management. Jason has extensive experience in economic development, not only in Nebraska, but in Texas, in South Dakota, and in Kansas. We're excited to have Jason on Shaping the Future today to hear more about how he helps the Lincoln businesses grow and flourish. Jason, thanks so much for being with us. And as I love to ask my guests before we get into the meat of the matter, how did you get into running a chamber? And we'll talk a little bit about what a Chamber of Commerce is in a minute, and specifically what the Lincoln Chamber is up to these days. Yeah. But obviously you have an MBA, you've traveled the country. How did that start?
It started purely by accident. I think, like a lot of people, my undergraduate experience was a great one. I got a chemistry degree from Wesleyan, but then very early on,
you didn't become a chemist, right?
I did not. To the great benefit of all chemistry everywhere. No, I had a great experience doing that. I liked being in the lab, but needed to be out with people, and so actually went back to the business college here in Lincoln. Kind of nights and weekends, and then ended up becoming an intern with what was then the Office of Technology Development. It's now New Tech Ventures.
Sure.
And through the work I was doing there, got plugged into the business community here, and eventually was recruited to go work for this chamber, starting in 2008. And I love that work so much. After several years, I was able to bop around to 3 other states and run 3 other chambers, and thrilled to be back here in Lincoln and doing this.
So how long have you been back in Lincoln here?
About 2.5 years now.
Great. Well, we're so glad that you are. As somebody who is not a Nebraskan by birth, but a Nebraskan by choice, it's great to have people such as yourself. So for our audience who may not really understand, what is the role of a regional or a city chamber of commerce? We talk a lot about it, but I think, from your perspective, you've done it in multiple states. Well, how would you describe that to somebody that's not really familiar with the term?
I think the most important function that we serve is being a voice for businesses. Whether that's a business that's already in town that needs some help, or a business that maybe doesn't have a presence in your community but needs some connections, resources, understanding of the market. We really try to serve as that voice for business needs writ large. And then the other thing that I think we do is we set the tone on conversations and try to catalyze strategic investments in communities. And here I'm thinking about infrastructure, obviously workforce training programs, those types of things, so that we can maximize the growth in this economy.
Super. And so let's fast forward. You're back here in Lincoln. You're the president and CEO of the Lincoln Chamber. What are some of the things that the Chamber here in Lincoln is actually doing for economic development, growth, supporting our businesses, perhaps even attracting new businesses to the Lincoln community?
Yeah, so we run a very robust program on the workforce development front. We are excited that we are supporting the launch of a new startup company called CareerPathway.com. That is a resource for employers to get connected with students and non-traditional students who are seeking ways to advance their career in a long-term capacity. So we've been doing that type of work. We have a very robust business visitation program, and so our local employers that are existing here now receive lots of touch points from us to see what resources and help that they need. The Lincoln Chamber houses the Visit Lincoln program, and so we compete for and happily win lots of opportunities to host events and tournaments. Just this summer, we had a major pro tennis tournament in partnership with UNL, and we're very excited about that. And so that's scratching the surface. We run a very robust program to help grow this economy.
So, as you mentioned just a minute ago about the tennis program in collaboration with UNL, But I know the Chamber has got a lot of interaction with the University of Nebraska system,
Yep.
with our campuses, but particularly here in Lincoln. And maybe you could unpack that just a little bit, just to give our audience some examples of some of the things we do together,
Yeah, I'd love to.
other than tennis, which of course is great.
Yeah, well, so certainly on that tourism and visitor industry side, the university is an essential partner. We'll be bringing a science Olympiad event here in the not too distant future, and so there's those types of things that bring visitors here. We've worked extensively with the Office of Technology Development and later New Tech Ventures, and some of the spin-out businesses that have happened from that. Virtual Incision is a great example of that.
We actually had Shane as a guest on one of our previous podcasts, I believe, and he, of course, is a rock star.
And what a great success story that is. It's a story of success about what Innovation Campus ended up doing for this city and this community, and that was the establishment of Innovation Campus was something that we worked on with the university. And so I'm very proud to say we have lots of those nodes of contact and support. And we hope the business community is an asset to the university here. Certainly the business community really believes that this university is an important economic pillar of everything that happens in Lincoln.
Maybe another question that I think folks might ask. There are multiple, quote, chambers of commerce in the state, and what's the collaboration like? Having lived and worked predominantly in Omaha for many years, I'm very familiar with the Greater Omaha Chamber, but I know from having sat on that board and actually having been on that executive committee for the better part of the last decade, there's a tremendous amount of collaboration.
Yeah, we're very proud of the work that we do with our colleagues. I think most people that may not have had the opportunity to work with chambers like you have, sometimes we'll assume that we're all one big structure or one big entity. We're not. We're all separate 501c6s and make our own determinations and decisions, and we have different groups of stakeholders. And so in that context, I think it's particularly remarkable that we work together as extensively and as well as we do. I'm on the phone with Heath Mello, my colleague in Omaha, on a regular basis. You've spent a lot of time with Heath. Brian Sloan and the State Chamber have been absolutely essential partners, and obviously a lot of that is based on our advocacy programs, the work we're doing at the state legislature or in Washington, D.C. But I also like to share with people a lot of what we're able to do in, say, young professionals programming, the work we do on entrepreneurship and innovation. A lot of that is based on regional and sometimes statewide collaborative efforts that help strengthen the economy of the whole state.
Well, these are really important partnerships because, as I've crisscrossed this state for the last decade plus of my career here, I always ask the communities the same question: what are the top 3 things that the university can do to help your community, rural or urban? And the answer is always the same: workforce, workforce, and workforce. And so I know that you're totally keyed into that. So before I thank you for being with us today on this episode, if anybody in our viewing audience wants more information about the Lincoln Chamber, what's the best way to find out?
Best and easiest place to learn more about what we're doing is at lcoc.com, as in lincolnchamberofcommerce.com. And you can also find us on most of your social media feeds. Twitter, Facebook.
I do follow you on all of those.
Good. We try to be the most findable program in town because we want to be that easy to find resource for people just to get them connected.
Indeed, that's the name of the game. You want people to be easy to find you, easy to communicate, ask the dumbest questions in the world, and then come here to Lincoln and make this their home.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today as well.